Hey, welcome back everyone to Garage Studio Modelers. I'm Dave Forrest, and this is my good friend
Harvey Lowe.
And today we're going to talk about AFV Interiors.
Is that the banter today, Dave?
It is the banter. Yeah, it will be the topic for today. And I've got a kit, and you've got a current build that you're doing. Yeah, we might as well get right into it.
Why did we pick this topic? I think I have a reason why I thought, let's pick this topic today.
I can tell you why.
Yeah,
it was convenient for me because I just happened to be working on this.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, and then you had this. You're working on this.
For me, it was a frustration moment. It's a frustration moment, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
right.
There is definitely some frustration.
I'm struggling with this, and then I think that you said you were struggling with that.
Most definitely.
And so I said, let's do a struggling video. No, we don't want to call it that. but I thought let's
a therapy video.
Therapy video. But we thought, well, let's do a video on what we've done so far on these kits, rather than taking the whole project from start to finish. Let's just kind of like do an episode on.
Yeah, and I think it's, for me, anyways. It's not something I've done a lot of in the past. Like I haven't done a lot of open top vehicles where you can actually see a good chunk of the interior, like you can with this 251. So I think we'll kind of just get into it.
Yeah.
So this is Mike. So we'll start here.
Yeah.
And we'll go over So this is the Dragon 251. This is the one that has all of the motors loaded on the side. I think they call it the Stuka zu Fuß, right? Stuka on foot.
Right.
Dragon kit, picked it up for a great price at a local show. But it's a Dragon kit, and I was really strong-armed into buying this by a good friend of ours, Steve. Steve, you know who you are. And I have to say, friends don't let friends build Dragon kits. This compared to Tamiya.
Dragon's listening.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the detail's incredible, and at the end it'll build up into something very nice. But it just fights you a lot more than it has to, right? So. There's lots of shimming that I have to do to get the kind of the side stowage pieces on. Everything is like super glued because plastic glue just won't hold it. Like it's got a
really?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
And if you look at it very closely, it's sort of like an old house in Toronto. There isn't a right angle on it, right? Like so. And hey, not
is that Toronto, California, or Toronto, Canada?
Toronto, Canada. Yeah, just and hey. This could be me. This could be user error. Very possible. But the kit doesn't make it easy, right?
Isn't there a saying that guys say that Tamiya is sometimes, I'm being general, simpler, but the engineering is bang on.
It is.
But Dragon has got a lot out. But
the detail is the detail is amazing. Like the interior detail compared to the Tamiya kits this is way better. Like much more realistic.
Right.
And to be fair, I have a few of the Tamiya half tracks. I'm gonna salvage parts like the interior benches, some of the interior gear that that are extras that aren't required for this version. I'm going to use on the Tamiya versions.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay.
Because the detail's there. So again, kudos to Dragon for that,
of course.
But it just fights you more than it needs to. But it's for me it was interesting. It was a good exercise on getting back to painting wood, right? Because there's some wood slatted benches in here. Some leather work as well. So Robert will get in and get some detail on this, and I have some photos I can send. We can probably put those up too after we get everything said and done. I used a Yahoo Models the dials for the instrument panel.
Right.
I used some 3D printed fire extinguishers from T-Rex. Gorgeous. One full and one with the fire extinguisher missing.
Are they in there now?
Yeah.
Oh, they're in there.
Yeah, they are. Sorry, these aren't glued on. So these are just to show kind of what it would look like. But and then again, Robert can come in. But using the 3D printed fire extinguisher, I used an Echelon decal for the fire extinguisher label. So it looks really nice. But as I pick this up, I can see daylight shining through some of this part here.
Is that right?
Yeah. So you've got to get some putty in there just to stop the daylight, and I had to shim up. Again, you get some, but I had to shim up the side of it. Otherwise, there's a big gap.
Right.
And then I can see the white plastic stock plastic I used.
So how are you gonna fill that little light coming through with?
I think I'll just use some putty
surfacer or something.
Yeah, maybe something that I can wipe away with alcohol, right? Something easy enough.
Well, I'd be curious from the viewers, like how many guys would do a complex thing like this and enjoy the tiny little fiddly bits, and then somebody build a Tamiya kit. I mean, I think everybody kind of maybe mixes it up.
Doing the sub-assemblies was a lot of fun.
Okay.
Putting it all together,
right?
Not so fun.
Yeah.
But again,
the fit.
But is it?
How were the tracks? Hey, these are unrehearsed. I have no idea how you thought the tracks were. So how were
the tracks were really fiddly.
Okay.
But they're small because you have to have the individual tracks. So there's that rubber bump or whatever you call it on there. And then the wheels, like the alignment of the wheel, like I had to clamp with like steel edge rulers to get everything to line up. And even then, it doesn't, like if I look at it, it's not. It doesn't look too bad.
And this goes back to our episode on judging, right? Because if you get those wheels wonky, if you're really into entering contests, the
fit on this is not going to be. I mean, it's okay, but it's not. It's hard, right? So I remember seeing other Dragon like 250s and 251s on show tables, and like the wheels are like. How did they not
do you have the Tamiya? You have a Tamiya?
Yeah.
But you haven't built it, so you have no idea how the wheels.
Oh, but it'll go on better than these.
Probably,
for sure.
Probably,
Yeah, for sure. Like these are just so.
So I'm gathering from you, one is just the frustration of the fit, definitely.
Yes.
What's the shim for? What's you put a little styrene.
I did. Yeah. So on this side, this fits like there's not supposed to be any gap here, so there's a bit of a gap. But it's tolerable. I said I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm not going to do major surgery, and this kind of fit in. For whatever reason, on this side, there's a huge gap. There's a huge between.
Oh, I see.
So I just glued this on.
Got you.
And I glued it on last night. I said, well, I'll finish it off in the morning because I want to let the glue fully hard. Yeah. And the other thing I used too is I didn't bring it with me, but one tool or one product that I found very useful for this is you have your Tamiya thin cement in the square bottle.
Yes.
When you get near the bottom of it, you start chucking in a bunch of spare plastic. Chopped up plastic, right? Chopped up sprues or whatever. And it makes like this slurry.
The goop.
Yeah. And that's great for gap filling.
Yes, it is.
Right? So I've used it in a few different spots to help kind of seal things. And because it dries just like plastic. So it's the same hardness as the plastic, and you can sand it down. Right, you can scribe over it.
And it's the same chemical, obviously, so it bonds it very well.
Yeah. So it's a very useful thing.
I actually have, while we're on that, I have an old bottle of Tester's glue, liquid glue. Oh, glue. And I take chunks of .040, really thick styrene, and I just throw them in. I don't even wait for the thing to go down. Like I have a separate bottle of goop.
Perfect. Yeah.
Right, and then I just use. Now it does dry out. Sometimes you have to kind of rejuvenate it with more
plastic.
Liquid, or more plastic. It's too whatever, but it's like you say, it's great. And I literally have a bottle of goop.
Yeah,
styrene goop.
So this, this was, it was fun, frustrating.
Yeah.
Right. I think Dragon kits are. I think this is probably the third or fourth Dragon kit I've built.
How were the other Dragon kits? Same thing. Or
this one because of the running gear and.
So go back to the comment that we made on the judging. If you do that, and let's say I had a Tamiya Hanomag,
you win,
right? Wouldn't it? Because it's easier to. Well, I mean, I'm not talking about expertise here, but I have an advantage that mine goes right in. It's made. This probably would fit right on. It'd probably take me less than 10 seconds with Tamiya kits, and you're fiddling with it.
Yeah.
When you put it on the table, and if the judges are going for every look, I have an advantage because I started with a Tamiya kit.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Now, having said that, this kit has way more detail. Mm-hmm. Right. So it looks more real. There's just more detail there. So it comes back to that whole risk reward thing we were talking about.
Risk reward.
Right.
You come up with these great statements. Any Sunday you have a risk reward.
I do. Okay. I am corporate after all.
Yeah. Yes, you like these little
Yeah, they come in handy.
Yeah, what was your any Sunday? That's
Any
where
given Sunday.
Any given Sunday, you might win at a contest or lose at a
Or,
contest.
yeah, you can go from
risk and
you
reward
can go from best in show to not
to
placing.
nothing. Yes.
Yeah, that's
okay.
the way it is.
There you go.
So anyway, so I'm committed. I'll build this. I think it'll build into a very nice model.
Okay.
But there's a lot of work. Like I'll have to put some welds along because you can see look at the gap there. It's horrible.
Oh yeah.
Like again, Robert will get close in and get some shot, but the gap here, so I'll have to do something to put some weld seams or. Right?
Thanks for telling me. When I judge it, I'll say, "Hey, there's a gap there."
Well, I'm not placing for sure. Kiss that goodbye.
Okay.
But yeah, but I think it's a neat looking model.
Sure it is. Yeah.
And it's not. Like if I was an amps judge looking at this, I mean it's not 100% straight.
I'll bet you.
But if you don't look at it like very closely,
yeah, I'll bet you do it
great.
at night. Eh? I'll bet you're sleeping and you're looking at it while you're sleeping, and you can't sleep because you're looking at the alignment.
Have you been talking to my therapist?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you do on the inside? Do you want to talk a bit about how you finished it?
Yeah. So at the inside, and again we'll get some detailed shots of it. And it's kind of hard to see because the light's not because everything's built up over it. But I think the inside was fun to do. It was like a lot of streaking, some oils for dirt. I didn't use any pigments.
Okay.
Because I didn't want it to build up too much.
Not even for dirt?
Not even for dirt.
Really?
I just use oils.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise the pigments get, it's kind of...
Huh. Because I might try pigments on mine. Well, we can see what happens.
Yeah.
Different effect.
Yeah, I just went with...
So the first thing you're saying, Dave, and to our audience, you're saying that you're almost treating the inside interior of the vehicle as if you were weathering the outside to some degree.
And it comes back to that consistency. Right. So if I'm gonna have it weathered outside, obviously. Of
course.
So especially the crew would come in, they would get out, they would come in, and they would track in dirt with them. There'd be, they wouldn't necessarily clean it out because they're in combat conditions. So like if you have it's fully weathered an exterior and it's very clean on the inside.
Yeah, right.
That's
There's no consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency
to me,
judging.
Right?
Yeah, it's a judging criteria is consistency, weathering.
Yeah. Exactly.
And this one's open top, so you do kind of have to do something.
Yeah, you definitely have to do.
Yeah, I'll go over mine, which is actually enclosed, but I'll talk a bit about that in a second.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll carry on. I think, like I said, I think this will turn into a very nice model at the end of the day. It'll be way more detailed than the Tamiya equivalent. But
there is the syndrome.
It's a struggle.
There is a syndrome of struggle and throw. That's my new term today. Where I'm struggling, I'm going to throw it, right? Throw it against the wall.
Well, there were those moments. If I'm being honest.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
All right.
So enough of my crutching.
Crutching.
Now over to you, Hardy. For your therapy session.
Our therapy session is called Frustration and Modeling. I think we're calling the episode AFV Interiors, but we can call it Frustration and Modeling. So I too am struggling with this. This is the exact Russian Gas Tiger. I don't know how they pronounce it in Russian. Tiger? I don't know. Anyways, I don't normally do modern stuff, but we had a local challenge, a build in Toronto, and we said everyone's got to do some sort of Jeep. So I decided I tried. I got it at a good price at a show.
Yeah, I was part of that challenge. I did nothing.
So that's right. Who knows? You can still come back to the challenge and finish that.
I have the best of intentions. I actually had a Schwimwagen. I bought all kinds of aftermarket for it, new wheels for it, and it just sat. And
oh come on! Nobody does that in the hobby. Nobody buys stuff and. Oh okay.
But I had the best of intentions. Anyway, sorry. Back to you.
No, not at all. So this is the now this interior. I decided to do what Dave did to weather and modulate it as much as I was doing the exterior. And why? Because it's covered, right? So the model is actually a covered vehicle, but it's got really wide doors and windows, and you can display the model with the doors open. So I figured if I leave all the doors open, you will be able to see something.
Yeah, was that the intent?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave everything open. In fact, I don't have it with me, or maybe I do. See, I told you this is totally ad lib, but I bought a lighting kit. Here it is.
You're gonna light the interior?
I'm gonna try. It's not gonna be.
It's not a starship.
I like lights. These are tiny little. I forget who makes these, but this one has 2 LEDs, and you get them at those Gundam stores. And I thought, well, what happens if I hook 2 lights in the ceiling? They won't be accurate to where the real lights are, but then you can see the interior. I say I'm going to do it, but I'll see.
Nice.
Right? But then you'll be able to see it. Now, this is...
Yeah, sorry, just on that. Yeah, it's funny, you touch upon something interesting. With all the advent of these full interior kits, you can't see them.
No.
Like, you put all this work into it, and yeah, you'll leave as many hatches open as you can, but it's never going to do justice, right? But I've seen, I've seen some guys light up, and it looks
more and more. And more.
It looks great.
It does.
Yeah, so
it does.
Yeah, good on you. I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
And of course, we're not talking about aircraft interiors, which we'll do another episode. But those are even worse, right?
Yeah.
And you put it in because you know it's there, but you can't see the.
But the aircraft interior is typically you can see most of it. Not
in the
cockpit.
Yes,
but a cockpit where you have, like, if you put in a nice.
Right.
Like if you use one of those Quintus Studios panels, those things are gorgeous.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to see that, right?
But this one, it will be buttoned up, and yeah, you really can't see much. But here's where I'm kind of changing it up because I like to change up models. I'm putting this BMP turret on it, atop there, and this one is essentially Syria, where they have pictures of a destroyed Gaz Tiger with a BMP turret. Apparently, it's an ISIS modification. I don't know. And if some viewers know more than I do, please tell me, because I have no idea even what color to paint it, so I'm kind of just...
I'm sure there were all kinds of field mods, right? I mean, you saw those Armor in Syria, or...
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's what it's called, those books, and they have all kinds of field modifications.
That's the 2-volume?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great source of reference.
So even with this on, the hatch open, that's why I thought I'd put some lights in. Now, further on with this interior, before I forget, these vehicles have this camouflaged...
Oh yeah, I've been noticing that earlier. Yeah.
I think. See, these guys come with decals in this kit.
Did it?
I don't know. What? Can some readers tell us why they would put camouflage on the interior? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
have
question.
absolutely no idea.
Because usually the interiors are a lighter color, so you can see what's going on, right?
From what I can tell from photos, and again, sorry guys, I'm not an expert on this vehicle. I think it was a fabric that you attach. It attached, right? It's not painted this way. But again, why would they apply, you know?
That's a good question. It's funny because I have the main kit,
Yes.
and it's the same thing. They have a big decal sheet, or
Right.
decal sheet for the...
So there's 3 companies that make this vehicle.
Vesta.
So does Vesta have the decals?
Well, I got the M version, which is a later version of this, so it didn't have it in for that one.
Okay.
But, yeah.
So, decals were fantastic. Just a couple of shortcomings with this kit. I mean, it's a great kit. Apparently, when I looked at the reviews, this particular exact model is the most detailed. But it's also over-engineered.
Yeah.
Now,
Very detailed.
very detailed. There's the underside. I don't know, Robert, if you can see it.
We can get some shots after.
Yeah, we can get shots and send them after.
Yeah.
I struggle with this. I'll tell you, I struggle, number one, I'm not familiar with this vehicle, and you have to be very careful when you build this model because the chassis is a certain way, and parts that you think are here should be actually back there. They look the same, but they're not. So I actually put the suspension on backwards without realizing, and before the glue dries, so oops. But it is very difficult to build. There's a lot of pieces to it. I don't know if you can see, but
I mean, and I had the advantage of looking at this in some detail before we started filming, right?
Okay.
And the detail is phenomenal, right? So same type of thing, right? If I go back to the 251 here, harder to do, more detail.
Oh my God, it is.
The level of effort goes up, the chance of error goes up, and whatnot. But if it comes together, like this looks way more detailed than the main kit.
Oh, okay. I haven't even seen the main kit.
It's the suspension. Like a lot of what you have to put on is already kind of integrated into the suspension.
Yeah, but you even look at there's so many tiny pieces, and I found that I had to do sub-assemblies. If I followed it, it would be really hard. I think the biggest problem with this kit is fit.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit very well.
Well, the more detailed, the worse it is, right? Like the more chances you have of...
It's hard to see, but there's a whole glob of super glue just to keep the chassis onto this bottom of the...
How did you find the instructions?
Very good. But
So,
again...
Dragon instructions.
No, huh?
No.
No, these were actually quite nice, and they're a nice booklet with staples. But boy, was it a challenge to put together. As for colors, I don't know. I do know, and I got most of my references online, the seats were just a black upholstery, but I did see some with this tan canvas, so I just took the liberty of painting them. It gives them a little bit of color. Because I believe...
Otherwise
yeah,
it's black, right?
It's black.
Yeah, it's nice. Looks good, though. Looks great.
Yeah, I've got a couple of washes in there, and it's hard to see, but there's a pattern, tread plate on the bottom. That's just dry brushing. Now here's a tip. When I dry brush, I might use a light gray, but I'll actually add a tiny bit of Winsor Newton, like typically a white. And somebody say, well, you can't mix Winsor Newton oil paint with acrylics. Yeah, you can. You just mix them up and then you use it to dry brush. There's no chemical reaction.
And use the white just to get
Lighten
that
it
extra
up.
level of pop.
Yeah. You want that contrast. Like you're a master at it. This thing here is the where they stand on to go into the turret. And it's got 6 seats. These seats were murder. They were so hard to do. They're over-engineered. They got little, where the seat rotates, the little latch that folds. They're separate. It's insane. They could have just done it as one.
Molded.
Yeah, because then you're risking. You got to put it. They're a little crooked. Take it to the show. Oh, it's crooked.
It drives me nuts.
Right? It's what do you call it? Risk and reward.
Risk reward. Yeah.
Risk reward.
More risk than reward.
It is
in that case. Yeah.
I didn't.
But look, I mean, it looks good.
It does. Yeah. It's
really good.
It's the problem with the bottom though is I'm going to cover it with dust. So all this detail and paint, different colors. There's actually
well, you know it's there.
I know it's there.
You can take pictures of it.
This is what I use to
memorandum.
Yeah. This is what these are the ammo boxes. So I actually just prime them in this beige color, and then I'll leave the beige straps this color, and I'll paint around it. They were different colors, and these will go on. So that's how I do that.
And where'd the turret come from?
The turret is this guy. The turret is right here.
Ah, very good.
DEF. You can still get them. I did use the resin wheels because the ones in the kit are rubber. I don't like rubber wheels in kits. Do you?
No. It's funny. I was looking at the Meng ones, and actually the tread looks pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a big seam line.
Right.
That goes through it, and you can't how do you get rid of it?
And I don't like weathering rubber.
It'd be hard in plastic. It's impossible in rubber, right? So the wheels, right?
The other parts I have, like you on the Head Omeg, I have the Quinta Studio, the dials, but the dials, they don't fit this kit very well. It's designed for, I think, this Vesta kit. I think they don't quite fit, right? So when you buy these things, make sure it's for the model.
But you can do it. Yeah,
you can. I can re-engineer it. I bought this masking sheet. I have no idea whether this pattern was the pattern with the BMT turret, but who knows? I'll still do it.
Field mod, right?
Here's my bailiwick. Here's my pet peeve. Okay, great photo etch. Fantastic photo etch. Yeah, but get that film off this thing is horrible.
Why?
Like it won't come off. And then when you're peeling it off, it is so sticky, it begins to bend.
Oh, really?
The photo, it's bad. This one's done already, but getting that off, you can see it's bent.
Yeah.
And so if you're listening, ET models, please don't use very sticky film to protect it, because in the end you're not protecting the parts. You can't even get in there with a number 11 blade to lift it. It is that well put on.
Wow.
It won't. I didn't even do this one. So
that's the thing with photo etch. I find I use like 12% of the pieces that are on.
True. Let's look at this one. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, look at these. What's these? I won't use those.
Those like bolt heads?
Bolt heads. No. No. Scale rule, guys. My rule is if you can't see a detail on this vehicle standing 35 feet away, 1/35th, I usually don't put it on.
You got like butterfly nuts. You got
and they're flat.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't use them. So that's my struggle, and again, I haven't put the dirt on yet. I'm not doing the engine; it's going to be covered by the hood. But it's a fun little project because if you notice when you're not familiar with a project, that becomes funner because you're
researching.
Yeah, you're researching.
Yeah.
So that's it for this. This is just some of the aftermarket stuff. Now this is one of the resin wheels from DEF. I paint it black. It is, like you say, much better to weather than the rubber
Oh yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
So that'll go on the back,
Nice.
right?
They do a nice flat tire set for this.
Yes, they do.
Which I have for because I want to do a knocked out one.
You want a knocked out? Yeah.
Right.
It's ironic. This one was knocked out, and I'm not doing it knocked out. So that's mine.
So what do we learn? What are we taking away from this?
What I'm taking away is pay as much attention
Don't
to
do
the
interiors?
Yeah, don't do interiors at all. Or if you do them, you got to pay attention to making them pop just as much as the exterior. That's what I'm taking.
Yeah, and I think it's keeping it consistent with the exterior.
Yes, that's
Right.
number 2.
So I think that's important. I think make it look lived in as much as possible. So I could probably do a little bit more with some extra stowage. Although, like if they're firing these big rockets off on the side of this thing, I don't know how much stuff they would leave inside.
Don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
there's
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
But it was a great exercise. I mean, it kind of improved my leather.
Yeah. Could you forgot how do you do that? Because you can't see, but it's really nice leather,
It's,
really nice wood.
Yeah, it's a technique I stole actually from I think it's LPJ Models. He's a guy out of England that does, and he did an interior of one of the I can't remember the Copperfield or the Copper State Models, one of the Volvo 1 armored cars, and there was like a leather seat he was doing. So what you do is you paint it. What I did is I paint it in like a dark brown. And then with like a buff color, I'll kind of chip the edges of it, and then with that same color, very thin, I'll paint some like cracks in the leather, and then I go over it with a dark brown wash.
So you blend it that way.
Yeah, and then it kind of knocks it down. It looks pretty stark when you start, but when you put that on there, it blends it down.
So you're using hairspray technique?
No.
Oh, you're just chipping it by hand.
Yeah, with a sponge.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, maybe with a brush. Yeah.
Right.
So it's very quick, very simple, and it does great, really nice results.
Well, we're kind of jumping around, but I forgot to tell whether I do modulate. It's like it's gray interior. This is
You can see the modulate on the seats. Yeah.
And then you modulate it quickly, and then all I did was put a dark brown wash on it, and some highlights. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just make it pop.
Yeah.
And that's how I did this.
Don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it. One little tip I do have is, guys, when you build these interiors, you see all these little knobs. I kept knocking them off. So I prefer to do them last now. Now that I learned my I kept knocking them.
As I was trying to jam this thing together, I broke a bunch of things inside. I had to go back in and fix them as well. Right. So even the transmission, the wheels was workable at one point. But yeah, it's broken.
It looks like it. Oh, okay.
It doesn't look pretty good. So we'll fix that. But I think both will. I mean, a little bit frustrating, but they'll both build very nice.
I think so.
We'll get there. So
and there's our
episode for today. Yeah. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Forward to your comments.
Take care.